The year 1988 was one that rings many different bells for different people in the world of reggae music. Many remember it as the year Shabba Ranks' debut album hit the scene, while others remember it as the year of one of the greatest reggae sunsplash festivals, with stellar performances from Dennis Brown, Gregory Isaacs, Freddie McGregor, and Culture at their peak. But for some, it marks the tragic end of Clive Bright, aka Tenor, one of the greatest and most unique voices that we've ever heard in dancehall. An astonishingly gifted youth, he shot up like a rocket into the stratosphere reserved for legends while barely out of his teens, right in the early 1980s, a time when titans like Yellowman, Barrington Levy, and Sugar Minott had an iron-like grip on the dancehall landscape. But just as he was setting the world alight, Tenor's short life and career was snuffed out in horrific circumstances that are still as difficult to bear as it was almost 35 years ago. The reggae genre has seen more than its fair share of the deaths and losses of its brightest stars. But while the killers of artists like Peter Tosh and Hugh Mundell were eventually caught and brought to justice, the person or people responsible for Tenor's death were never found. To add to that, conflicting reports in the media, strange facts about Tenor at the time, and a strange outburst in recent times from the dancehall legend have all come together to keep this nagging question alive. What really happened to Tenor? Let's take a look at his life, all leading up to his death in 1988. Clive Bright, aka Tenor, he was born on the 12th of February 1966 at the Victoria Jubilee Hospital in Kingston as the fourth of 6 children. He grew up in Painland Maverley and Olympic Gardens, a place that spawned many dancehall artists in the 1980s. His mother was a staunch member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and young Clive, who had a strong love for singing, channeled his passion as a member of the church choir. He was a good church boy, but was also molded by his environment and became something of a tough guy or a bad man. He was next door neighbors to legendary singer Frankie Paul, whose influence kept him on the straight and narrow path. Tenor had big dreams of becoming a successful singer one day, but felt his devout Christian mom would stifle his plans if she found out. So he left home and moved in with his father, who had left Kingston and moved to the countryside. With more freedom, Clive began to hustle to get taken on by the hottest producers in Jamaica. He possessed a powerful nasal voice and piercing singing style that stunned listeners but had a very raw quality about it. And most producers didn't have time to start polishing what was a diamond in the rough, and he got rejected a lot of times. He however got his first breakthrough when he managed to meet producer George Fang in 1984. Tenor traced George Fang to Dynamic Studios, where the producer was busy recording Half Pint's classic song Greetings. Clive found his way into the studio and begged Fang to record him, almost in tears, saying that nobody else had given him a chance. So George Fang took a gamble and brought Tenor into the studio. According to Fang, he wasn't sure what to expect, but the moment the boy opened his mouth, everybody in the studio began to cheer him on. The result of that session became Tenor's first single in the gospel-inclined Roll Call, which was released in 1984 under George Fang's Powerhouse label and was quite popular, getting good airplay in Jamaica. Tenor's mother was totally unaware that her son was now a fast-rising musician, and only found out when her friends told her that they had heard Clive on the radio. But despite this breakthrough, it wasn't yet a huru for Tenor, and he kept on shopping for a producer to take him on full-time. After getting rejected by Henry John Joe Laws, he got word that Youthman Promotion, owned by Sugar Minott, had a policy of working with young artists. So he made his way to Youthman Promotion's base at Maxfield Park one night to see Sugar. Sugar was at Channel 1 Studios, where he liked to record at night, so Tenor sat on a stone and waited for him till morning. At about 6 a.m. in the morning, Sugar saw him sitting outside his house and asked the young lad what he wanted. The kid explained that he had heard that he was building the young talent and wanted to join the outfit. So Sugar took him on and gave him a platform to further hone his skills on the Youthman Promotion sound system and let him tag along to recording sessions. He got his big chance to record when he accompanied Sugar to King Jammy's studio, where he was supposed to record a dub plate. A dub plate was made to have 4 songs, so after Sugar had recorded 3, Tenor begged him to lay vocals on the last rhythm, and Sugar obliged. The song he sang was Pumpkin Belly, which became his first hit single. He was now one of the rising stars at Youthman Promotions, along with his friends and colleagues Yami Bolo and Nitty Gritty. And together, they made Youthman Promotions one of the hottest sound systems in Jamaica, and would often participate in sound clashes with rival outfits. It was out of these lyrical battles that Tenor Saw's greatest song, Ring the Alarm, was born. At a now legendary four-way clash, Sugar Minott Youthman Promotions went head-to-head with Prince Jammy's sound system, the Scorpio Crew, and the Arrows sound system. It was a particularly brutal night, and it looked like Youthman Promotions were about to lose. But backstage, Tenor Saw came up with the now legendary line, "Ring the alarm, another sound is dying." He went on stage, grabbed the mic, and poured out just one of the most magnificent dancehall tunes ever recorded. From the edge of defeat, won that sound clash convincingly, and Tenor Saw was suddenly a superstar. The song was recorded later and released as a single and became a smash hit. He went on to record a string of hit singles for a number of producers in the same year and released his debut album, Fever, which was produced by his mentor, Sugar Minott. As his popularity and fame spread, he was now in high demand for overseas tours and concerts. And after a number of trips to Asia, Europe, and the US, Tenor Saw moved to New York in 1987 after he found out that his girlfriend in America was pregnant with his baby. And at just 21, the money was rolling in, he was insanely popular and already on top of the world. But unfortunately, this quick success caused him to fall in with the wrong crowd, and he picked up a deadly cocaine habit. In a 2008 interview, Sugar Minott opened up about Tenor Saw, admitting that he was an angry youth who needed more guidance than he got, and by the time he moved to New York, there was no one to really advise him. For the remainder of 1987, Tenor Saw was touring non-stop with the likes of Freddie McGregor, Blue Mountain Music, and a slew of promoters looking to cash in on him being the hottest artist in reggae music at the time. According to many accounts, he started using cocaine even more excessively and began to unravel, both mentally and professionally. By early 1988, Tenor Saw was signed to Ras Records by the CEO, Dr. Dread, and the label quickly went to work on a new album. Dr. Dread spared no expense to create a masterpiece and flew in the legendary Roots Radix band to Washington to back him up in the studio. But when it was time to record, Tenor Saw was nowhere to be found and the project was cancelled. The instrumentals meant for him eventually went to Yellow Man for his album Yellow Man Rise Again, released in 1988. Tenor Saw had become too unstable to record and focus more on live shows. He went down to Texas to do a couple of shows and never came back. The exact date of his death is unknown, but his body was found decomposing in the bushes by the side of a highway in Houston, Texas at the young age of 22. He was found with severe head injuries and broken legs, and the official cause of death was pneumonia caused by lengthy exposure to the elements, meaning that he had been there suffering for a long time, maybe even for days. The police ruled it as a hit and run and stopped investigating the matter. But despite this official account, a report from the Jamaican Gleaner newspaper dated August 26, 1988, reported the cause of Tenor Saw's death as being from gunshot injuries. Regardless of the exact cause of death, his passing was widely believed to have been the product of premeditated murder, and a series of rumors made the rounds. The most common were that Tenor Saw had become involved in the drug trade in Texas and was taken out in a deal gone wrong. Another was that being an addict, he might have been owing his dealer, while some other rumors were that dancehall legend Super Cat had a role in his death. Sugar Minott's personal opinion was that his protege died from pneumonia after being badly beaten and left to die in the cold after an altercation with promoters who might have been owing him money for performances. But despite the numerous theories, one thing was unanimously agreed: his death was no accident. The rumors died down for 31 years. But in July 2019, the question of what happened to Tenor Saw burst into the public consciousness all over again. At an event held to celebrate Super Cat's birthday, Tenor Saw's childhood friend and fellow Youthman Promotions graduate, Yami Bolo, was on the microphone performing a 2005 song titled Put Down Your Weapon. For some reason, the song's lyrics got under Super Cat's skin. He was obviously very intoxicated and interrupted Yami's performances several times before eventually grabbing the microphone, threatening to kill Yami Bolo just like Tenor Saw had been taken care of. The video of the incident went viral, and from all indications, something many believe to be evidence of a guilty conscience, and saw as nothing less than a confession to the murder of Tenor Saw. While all the theories are very strong possibilities, I personally believe that Tenor Saw might have gotten high, walked out onto the highway and was run over, maybe intentionally or by accident. We might never get the full story, But one thing is for certain, Tenor was too young and too successful to lack adequate management and support. Despite his drug problems, he might have avoided getting into such dangerous and risky situations with proper care and the right people looking out for his best interests. He is survived today by his son, Justin Bright, who lives in the US, and his family back in Jamaica. And despite a brief career of just 4 years, he's gone down as one of the most influential dancehall vocalists of all time and one of the most gifted to ever hold a microphone. Tenor will forever live in our hearts. We never heard a voice like his before he came on the scene, and haven't heard anything close to his since he left this world. Undoubtedly, one of the greatest of all time.